going to Cheryl's dance party. Girl, you are so going. Oh, I said.
Hey, it's time for...
The best thing about imaginary friends,
Hello? Earth to Brian! Wake up!
they're always there when you need them.
Oh, yeah.
And you get a new one every Friday night.
Now, what kind of 2000s cartoon show do you get when you mix the Powerpuff Girls, the Muppet Show, and 60s psychedelia? Yeah, I'm gonna give you one hint. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Quote-unquote, the most wholesome Cartoon Network show. I think that is actually out there. But I do have one question. Is it really as fun and wholesome as it appears? And I think if you're a fan of the show, you know that no, it has such an amount of psychological depth that you can't get in any other cartoon. That's why I really had to take the time to get together with you guys, sit down, have a book club, and talk about the first season of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
This is it! I knew it!
Welcome to Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Wow, not me good stuff! Whoa, watch the eye. Thank you.
What's up, everybody? It's Johnny 2000, focusing on 2000s movies, media, and so much more. And aside from my main channel focusing on teen shows, I also want to make cartoon-related shows. That's why I created Johnny Toons, a channel that actually focuses on all the cartoons I like to watch and do the retrospectives I wanted to do. Now, before we start with Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, we actually have to talk about how it was created. Craig McCracken, who also created the Powerpuff Girls on Cartoon Network, was inspired by a pet adoption agency when he was going to adopt something from the animal shelter, and it made him realize that maybe a show about imaginary friends could be really cool, and also allow some really trippy poster design animation. Something in similar vein to The Muppet Show when it comes to character-driven comedies, like focusing on the individual. Now, Craig McCracken was very hands-on. He directed, executive produced, and story edited this entire show. They have the same sound designer from the Powerpuff Girls, which is probably why a lot of this show feels very familiar. And he describes this as psychedelic ragtime, which is kinda cool. The show premiered August 13th, 2004, and it started as a 90-minute special, a 3-part episode when it really comes down to the production order of it all, which is actually pretty close to what the Powerpuff Girls did. They started with a 90-minute movie as well, but theirs was theatrical, so then they went to series right after, and Foster's did that similar. And this premiere was actually one of the highest rated Cartoon Network premieres from the time. They had 18 shorts produced from 2006 to 2007 in addition to their 6-season run. And there is a reason that Foster's made such a long-lasting impact on this channel. So let's get started with the pilot episode, the first 3, and then just go on through all 13 of the first season. If you guys like this video enough, we could definitely jump into the second and even further, but I really wanted to jump in where it all began. Okay, so we start off with Mac's original home life, something that you probably forgot about if you remember the series for what it would later eventually be, but they actually had a really humble beginning. Bloo is Mac's best friend, but it doesn't matter because he's suffering because of his brother, Terrence.
Bluefus? Bluefus? His name is Blue Regard Q Kazoo, and you know it!
Terrence is just all around a bully, rude, and doesn't like Blue, so nobody really wins until Blue steps up and throws a vase just to assert dominance, and this actually works against him. When the mom comes home, it seems like Blue's gonna get in trouble, but really Terrence, she could see right through him, so luckily the mom knows what's up. But she still has a point that maybe Mac is too old for an imaginary friend. Oh my gosh, that was quick. This part breaks my heart and Blue's heart as he listens in, and it is so tragic. It almost feels like abandoning like your best friend and having it be your mom say it, like she's the one with the boundaries. That's really depressing. So Mac has to figure something out. Blue is just pretty much devastated. He doesn't know what to do with his life.
Because, Mac, you're 8 years old, and you still have your imaginary friend.
So what? Lots of kids have imaginary
friends.
friends.
So later that night, Blue is clicking through the TV and finds a commercial for Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, a place where imaginary friends could go and be safe and comfortable.
And come on down to Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, where good ideas are not forgotten.
So he takes Mac to it the next day, and right away we get introduced to Mr. Harriman, who is this uptight stickler bunny that just likes to create rules and live structured lives. I mean, I don't know, he's a very OCD character.
The head of business affairs at this facility, and am in no way a butler or any other member of the service trade.
Next person to meet is Frankie, who is actually the caretaker of the house, and, you know, this teenage girl that just kind of looks after everybody, and her and Mr. Harriman do not get along.
Man, one of these days.
And she's pretty abused in this role, honestly. It's not fair. You feel really bad for her. Then we meet Wilt, and that's a fun experience because he's super friendly, a people pleaser, and that becomes his personality trait literally throughout the entire show.
Well, yeah, I used to, whatever. Hey, how about that tour, huh?
He gives the guys a tour, and this is where you get super excited about Foster's home because the house itself is like the biggest character, making a lot of impact and excitement. That's when we meet Coco and understand that she only speaks literally the words Coco, kind of like a Pokemon when you think about it.
Yes. 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 Yes, please, with marshmallows.
And she joins them too. We don't meet anybody else yet, but Eduardo is definitely meant to come into the series eventually. First off, they keep asking about a scary monster that might live in the house, and that's Eduardo pretty much. But he doesn't really come up quite yet. We meet Duchess, which is the worst friend in the imaginary friend's house. She almost is like the antagonist, a comparable to Terrence type of character, a bully, if you would say. And this is just a testament as to how good the music is and how it works with the animation, because they put a lot of timing into both.
From the Swiss Alps, just do it, do it, do it! What do you want? Get out, get out, get out!
Mac and Bloo end up getting in danger when Wilt shows them the most dangerous imaginary friend in the whole house. And this is like where the stakes are raised the highest, where there's actually full-on danger to be noticed. They finally meet Eduardo when he saves the day, rescuing them, and it's really sweet. We learn this guy speaks Spanish, and it's definitely really fun. There's a lot to be excited about with Eduardo later in the series. Bloo tries to eat him, though. I don't know where that comes from.
Stop! I just want to punch you!
And that's essentially this whole first episode, is getting used to the house. But the plot twist hits when we learn that if Mac doesn't come exactly at 4 o'clock the next day, Bloo is going to be adopted. So that would be a huge deal.
It's not a boarding house. If you leave Bloo here, you can't come see him, because he won't be yours anymore. What? He'll be put up for adoption like everybody else here.
Mac doesn't really have a choice, though. If he brings Bloo home, he's just gonna get kicked out again. So, like, what does he have to do about it? So Mac is told he's gonna come back to Foster's the next day. That's when we get Terrence into the mix in the second episode. The second episode's really cool, too, because it features Bloo with his first day at Foster's, like, without Mac, and it's very lonely. Like, he's not used to it at all. So I like that they actually give the character time to, like, reflect on what this new house is gonna be like, how scary it is, and, you know, he even has a picture of Mac, which is so sad. The next day, some people come by to adopt one of the friends, and this is where it gives me, like, orphanage vibes, where it's like the parents could come in and actually meet the imaginary friend. I like that it's more based on the kid and what they want, and of course, this kid's a spoiled brat.
And whenever she tries to create one of her own, she gets a headache.
Shut up, Mom!
But you really do get a vibe of, like, every friend wants to be adopted. Even though this girl is, like, horrible, it seems like everybody's, like, interested in wanting to go home with them. Even though this place is kind of awesome, I don't know why I would ever want to leave it. But this little girl sets her eyes on Bloo. Oh my gosh. Yeah, of course Duchess wants to go with her because she likes a spoiled rich family, but this girl wants Bloo. So it becomes this whole race throughout the entire house, with Wilt, Eduardo, and Coco showing their true friendship by helping him avoid her. I just like that she keeps calling him Tiffany. I don't know why, it's just so funny to think that Bloo, of all people, would be named Tiffany somehow. The action animation in this part is so awesome, and I feel like it can only happen because they were able to spread this across 3 episodes. Like, I'm just so grateful that they actually gave the time it deserves to do this, because the animators are so impressive with this chase sequence. Like, I love what's going on here. And honestly, this keeps going to a concerning extent, where they eventually do get Bloo, bring him to Mr. Harriman's office, and pretty much is about to sign him away. Mac comes just in time at exactly 4 o'clock to be able to stop this from happening, and it was a close call. The best part of this all is setting up the fact that this could actually happen.
Do you have any idea what I've been through all day? Where were you?
School.
Like, these stakes are on the table, Bloo was almost adopted, and this could happen again. Duchess is extremely mad and starts to build up this resentment toward Bloo because obviously she was the one who wanted to be adopted by them, and they don't even want her, so you kind of feel bad. That's when Terrence follows Mac all the way to the Foster's house, figuring out what he's really been up to, and their mom is going to be angry. He meets Duchess outside the Foster's home, and the two start to relate on how they both hate Bloo. Aw, this is kind of depressing. This kind of counteracts the whole Wholesome thing, but they just keep dissing on Duchess just because she's ugly. Like, the whole joke is that she's just hideous and disgusting, and Terrence literally is about to throw up in their first encounter, so I don't know if I should feel bad or I don't know.
But I can't pull it off without a vicious, mean, evil, and terrible creep like you. So, will you help me, you big jerk?
But yeah, it's really crazy how these two villains come together, and after second episode, like, it's the perfect cliffhanger. And this is, like, right where we end, is having Duchess and Terrence meet and Bloo waiting for 4 o'clock the next day. All we know is something is about to happen.
Same time tomorrow? Yeah, 3 o'clock, right after school.
Yeah, so now that Terrence knows that Mac is going back to this Foster's home, he starts to interfere. That's when we hit episode 3, where Terrence and Duchess really play a strong role. Terrence locks Mac into his room so he can't get to Foster's. And it's kind of scary because it's like, how far is his brother willing to go? Luckily, Mac has these eggs that Coco made for him, which is really cute, and he's able to eventually get out. But you know what? Bloo doesn't see that at all. Bloo is just nervous, waiting, and sees that Mac doesn't show up. You get, like, major abandonment vibes, and yeah, it's not pleasant at all. Duchess ends up pulling in even more help from the giant scary monster from even earlier. Oh my gosh, yeah, the one that Eduardo saved Bloo from? That's crazy. Meanwhile, Terrence shows up ready to adopt Bloo, and since Blue's the only one who knows him, nobody really believes him. So we get this montage of Terrence trying to get Bloo, and when Mac gets there, Bloo is gone. Oof, and everybody's so angry at Mac.
We gotta try and get him back, cause...
You go, girl.
Which, by the way, you guys couldn't have just waited for an explanation. Like, you don't think that there's a reason he came up extra late. They literally try to tell him off for, like, the longest time, and it's like, guys, just give him a chance to talk. That's when they learn exactly where he's at. Duchess and Terrence took Bloo and this giant evil imaginary friends to the junkyard, and they're literally gonna kill him. Oh my god, it's scary at this point. The stakes are so high. It's even worse than him getting adopted. It's like him about to die. So the imaginary friends team up and go to the junkyard. All the people that, like, got to know him, and it's really sweet seeing them team up like that. Mac leads the way, and you know what? Things get really scary for a moment because there's bombs being thrown, everything. But every friend gives something to contribute that helps them get away from either Terrence, Duchess, or this giant monster, which, by the way, looks like a chain chomp from Mario. Like, look at that. Chain chomp from Mario or Pac-Man. Which one do you choose? They look like both. Yep, and then in the end, they finally save Bloo, and he's not adopted. Yay! But obviously everybody's pretty angry at Duchess because now she's just gonna live in the house and we're gonna forget that she tried to murder Bloo. Like, why is there no boundary issues? And we talk about Madame Foster throughout this episode, the woman who created this house, like why she created it, to have friends, and it's a very inspirational story. We get to meet her at the very end of the episode, and despite knowing that she's like this crazy kook that we get to meet later with the funniest beats of all, she just comes in pretty chill here.
Madam Foster, you're alive!
Huh? Well, of course I'm alive. What do you think?
Well, just that I've been here a few days and I never saw you, so I just figured.
It takes me a while to get down the steps, okay? I am old!
And she kind of has this, like, powerful presence that when she comes down, she's, like, just able to get whatever she wants. And I don't know, there's something bold about her. I kind of respected her at this age. Mr. Harriman is kind of not happy about everybody bending the rules. and Frankie is on their side, which is really sweet. So there's this nice little kumbaya moment where all the friends come back together, and Mac and Bloo get to finally balance their friendship. But there's always this overarching threat, Bloo being able to be adopted later on, which is really scary, honestly. It's something I really remember from the show, is just how often it is to, like, view these threats. But it's such a good pilot episode, especially establishing not only the wholesomeness of the characters, like the importance of teamwork and coming together, but helping people when they're lonely, or like adopting rejected people. Like, there's just such good vibes in this episode, and you feel super bad for Mac because he definitely doesn't want to give away his imaginary friend, but he does earn the right to fight for him, which is so genuine. And yeah, just everything turns out okay, and I think that's the part that makes me feel the best, you know? The comedy in this is so unique because I feel like they're so good with timing jokes that they just keep awkward pauses for way longer than they need to. They keep people repeating obnoxious phrases more often than you expect.
I guess the child is quite bright.
Oh, yeah.
See?
Totally.
Yep.
Muy bueno.
I'll say.
Ah.
Sure is.
It's true.
Right.
And like, I don't know, it's just a really good way of having its own identity aside from any other Cartoon Network show. So yeah, we got some good characters and a good counted as our first 3 episodes of season 1. It's very interesting because Craig McCracken also created the Powerpuff Girls, and you just know that he's so good at doing these movie arc story starting episodes. He's just good at juggling comedy and raising stakes, and does it in a way that, like, kind of takes its time. So I'm really happy we actually gave it to him this time, and it wasn't like the Powerpuff Girls where it was a movie separate. Like, this actually counted toward the first season. So that gets us to episode 4, Store Wars. And this is the first time we see the opening title sequence. I mean, it's in the first 3 when they're aired as individual episodes, but for the most part, they just have the opening picture frame and don't keep the rest. So this is kind of an iconic moment because the opening to this show is so impressive. I love how it starts as this, like, stencil drawing that eventually blows up into a full, like, colored sequence, and it's got, like, carnival related music. It definitely shows how imagination can jump to life, and also being kind of meta, having the drawing actually happen at the beginning. I don't know if that's what he intended, but this opening just always gets me hyped for the show. Now, even though there's a million characters in this show, everybody really gets their chance to shine every now and then. Like, for example, this is Frankie's episode, which is the most important as she's like the caretaker of this house. And not only is it funny watching her keep everything together, just like seeing her anger come out in really crazy ways just makes her such a flawed character in a really relatable sense. Also, having Mr. Harriman always breathing down her neck.
Neglecting my... Listen, Peter Cotton Butt, I thought of everything.
Streamers.
Streamers? Oh, come on! Who needs streamers?
Why, never in all my years have I attended a celebration without streamers. It's simply uncivilized. Now go get them immediately.
Like, it reminds me of a teacher watching you as you're taking a test. Like, stop breathing down my neck. I'm just trying to ace this. And this guy's ridiculous. So she's setting up for this birthday party, and Mr. Harriman's like, go get streamers. You have a half hour. Oh my gosh. So you get a half hour for the episode, and it also works in Frankie's time, which doesn't seem super realistic to me. I don't even know if she can get to the mall in that time. But basically, she seeks out to get these streamers with this extremely complicated deadline. And now we get to see her true struggle. And this is when we start seeing Bloo become even more difficult. Like, he just gets more difficult throughout the show.
Oh, wait, I need some money.
Blue?
But he's like insistent on tagging along, makes her wait while he gets money. Then he starts inviting people, and next thing you know, all of Foster's just somehow wants to come on this road trip to the mall. And, you know, this is where it gets really complicated, keeping control of 10 different Foster's friends, all while shopping at the mall. Eduardo is a baby and super scared. Wilt is a people pleaser, so he gets stuck at the door the second they get to the mall. At first, they're following Blue's lead, and Frankie doesn't realize that he doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. He's like, I'm just trying to find a gift for Madam Foster.
Does anybody see a directory?
I don't need a directory. Follow me.
Yeah, this would drive me insane, and it's just so funny how long they let the montage go on for. I feel like it's full on like 2-3 minutes of them just walking throughout the store, looking more and more annoyed, going through the same places, up the same escalators, down the same elevator. Like, it's just ridiculous, but it's animated gorgeously.
What are you doing? Where is the stupid party store?
Party store? Well, how the heck should I know? I'm looking for a present for Madam Foster. You know, if you want to find a party store, you should look at the directory.
And this is where she makes her biggest mistake. She realizes they have some spare time once she gets the streamers, so she gives everybody a couple minutes to go off and have fun. And oh my gosh, do they have fun. This next part gives me extreme anxiety, so they end up finding this relaxing massage chair, and of course they have these at every mall, and Mac and Blue get like pretty fixated on it, Blue specifically, and gets even Miss Frances to lay on it and fall asleep. Oh my gosh. So she wakes up, and this stresses me out so much. She sees that everybody is gone. Like, I wonder how much time really passed. Blue finds this really stupid souvenir, and it's like a cactus that dances, and this is when we get the really good comedy. Like, Blue could be really annoying, but he's also really funny, and just seeing him repeat the same joke over and over again for some reason just gets me.
Hello?
So now Miss Frances has to go around the entire mall and get all of the imaginary friends back, which seems like it'll be easy because they're huge and literally don't look anything like humans at all, but it turns out to be a complicated problem and nobody knows who they're talking about. Luckily, she recruits Mac, and Mac is able to help because he's, you know, the leader of the group. And this is when it gets really funny. So they find Eduardo because he's crying like a kid who lost his parent, and they look at her like she's like just a bad mom. Coco full on enrolls in a job at this hot dog stand, which is even crazier, and they can't get her to leave, so they just try to come back later. Once they get Blue, everything seems to be growing great, but then Coco keeps going up the ranks as like a manager and becomes a police officer. She's just like giving them the hardest time.
A pager is free when you sign up for service.
Ow! Rip-off artist!
Even the actual police officers come into play, with Blue disrespecting them, and I can't believe he would do that. That's like too much gall for him. They attract all the mall cops to start chasing them down, and it becomes like a full-on, like, running away, with Coco actually coming in clutch and saving them, despite the fact that she tried to do a bunch of jobs in between. I don't even know. So yeah, they end up getting all the way back to Foster's in time for Madam Foster's birthday. I forgot to mention that we have this new vehicle, the Foster's van, which is actually a perfect set piece for this show, like having a nice communal van where all the friends can get in to go places. It comes up so much in the series, and it gets really cool how it's used, so keep an eye on that. Blue ends up taking a seat from the bus and giving that as a gift to Madam Foster, and I guess that just works out for her.
One of the chairs from the bus, oh.
No, sit in it!
All around, this episode is so funny, because seeing how the friends react to people and how people react to them in this world is just kind of necessary, I guess. How police get involved, how the mall works, like even Frankie and like her relationship to the outside world. Like, she seems like she's just stuck in this house all day. I don't know if she like has an identity outside of this, but you know, it's just cool to see everybody in context, especially so early in the show. We keep seeing everybody waiting for this mall trip to be over for Madam Foster's birthday, and it's so funny watching them just be in silence. All around, it's nice to see that, like, the Foster's house is, like, very communal, like, they celebrate the Madam's birthday, and they can't go out in public. I mean, that's all you need to get from this episode, really. I just relate to the relaxing massage chair part. I think that's the best part of this whole episode. The next episode is a Blue-related episode, episode 5, The Trouble with Scribbles, and this is one where the curiosity gets the best of Blue. Blue is already an obnoxious character, not even like willing to contribute with chores around the house. Even Miss Frankie is kind of getting fed up with him.
Quit it, Blue.
What? I'm just trying to clean.
Spring air freshener isn't cleaning.
If I were Mac, I would like try to talk sense into him because, you know, that's his imaginator, if that's really a word. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like he's just crossing a line. There's a door that basically says, stay away, do not open, and of course it piques Blue's curiosity. He throws a tantrum, desperately wanting to see what's inside the door, and oh my gosh, he is so annoying sometimes.
Secret doors, who needs them? What do I care about silly old secret doors and the unparalleled delights they keep hidden from the world?
Let go, man!
Asking other people in the house if they know what's up, and everybody starts acting really suspicious. Honestly, the more he talks to other people about it, the more I become suspicious, because I'm like, yeah, what could be behind that door? Curiosity did kill the cat, and it killed Johnny 2000, trust me. So Bloo starts having like really weird fantasies about what it would be like to open this door, and a whole dream sequence even comes into play. So in the middle of the night, Bloo sneaks out and finally gives into his desires and opens the door. Then there's a bunch of little scribblies everywhere, and it floods the entire house. Oh my god. The next day when Mac's over, he sees that Bloo unleashed a travesty across the entire house. And honestly, I don't know what these scribbles are, but they're kind of gross. Like, something about it screams ew, and it's not like an existing thing. Like, I can't even figure out how to categorize what these scribbles are. I just think they're gross.
Where is he?
What?
I told you not to open the door.
So sure it was me, are ya?
So Bloo gets pretty fed up with them, which is kind of ridiculous because, of course, he was the one who did this whole thing, and now he's just complaining about it. Madam Foster kind of sheds light on this whole situation, and we get backstory. Apparently, this was something that Madam Foster created when she was little, like thinking of a bunch of scribbles, so they had to keep it in this closet. Next thing you know, Bloo and Max start being all justice and think that these scribbles deserve to have just as much space in the house as the imaginary friends.
Freedom! Freedom! Mac! Go! Let him go! Let him go!
This only gets Mac and Bloo into further trouble and punishment, which they should just be grateful that they're letting Mac stay here. Like, Bloo should be adopted, honestly. So the scribbles start showing promise of being, like, really awesome and caring, and doing chores for them. Oh yeah, I guess awesome and caring don't matter as much as that. So they start helping out all the friends with all the chores, and next thing you know, things are just getting done on their own. So instead of everybody in the house, like, actually doing their chores, everybody starts becoming dependent on these little scribbles. And it kind of reminds me of, like, iPad kids. Like, everybody in the house becomes so spoiled with how they're being treated, and now even the rocking chair guy gets this chair rocked with scribbles. Like, I can't believe how far it goes.
See?
I don't know how I ever live without them. They're fantastic.
Mac is the only one that kind of senses this entitlement coming from everybody and actually wants to stand up for it. Mr. Harriman is the only other person that agrees with Mac, so it's kind of funny that these two are like the only two they have together. And next thing you know, they finally get a bunch of people to come in and adopt the scribbles by giving it an angle where they're all like really excited. Then everybody gets pretty upset because, of course, their working buddy is all getting sent away to nice and friendly homes.
How am I supposed to not do anything?
Low-key, I do feel bad for Frankie because I feel like this is the first time she ever got any help at all, so like, maybe she of all people did need the scribbles. Sorry guys, but they all have to go. They do, however, find out that one scribble is left behind.
Please, 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 please. Please be the toilet scrubber. Please be the toilet scrubber. Please be the toilet scrubber.
I love episodes that emphasize character moments like this. Like, Blue's biggest issue is just not being able to listen to other people and seeing how far it gets him into trouble, and then it later becoming Mac's problem. This show's really good at juggling multiple character goals at once, because it starts out not being about Mac, but then becomes about him and his goal. I don't know, it's just interesting the way the writers do it. It almost doesn't feel like an ensemble show. But the sweetness of Mr. Harriman being Madam Foster's, like, original imaginary friend is very cute, and I feel like the backstory of her being the one to have got this whole thing started way back when is really insightful, because, you know, she ended up opening a whole house for adopted friends. Like, this is a really cool idea. So, of course, Bloo, like, having done this mistake, maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. Oh, God, I don't know. The next episode is another rule-breaking episode, believe it or not, but this time it actually switches to be about Mr. Harriman. Episode 6 is called Busted, and yeah, this is actually on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. They break a statue, but this one is very different in the way it approaches it. So we start off with seeing how unbearable Mr. Harriman can be. Like, honestly, I thought he was bad to everybody, but Frankie has the worst of it. He's condescending, he makes her do so many ridiculous things for no reason. I can't tell if it's like his OCD or if he's just straightforward hating her.
No, Miss Francis, you are to towel dry all flatware so as to avoid unseemly spots.
He doesn't seem to have an opinion about her outside of the rules, so I don't get why he's so rigid. But it's just so disrespectful at a certain point. Of course, Bloo is the most irresponsible out of everybody in the house, so he's gonna have to be targeted. And Mr. Harriman does not let it go. He makes him make his bed multiple times. He makes him tuck it in right. If Bloo knew how Miss Frankie dealt with all of this, I don't know if he could live. Like, it's so crazy how many rules Mr. Harriman has. So Bloo, like, doesn't even know what to do anymore because he's just breaking every single rule. But not only him, like, everybody in the house is getting super fed up because he's just crossing a line, which is kind of crazy because I feel like he's always crossed this line, but it must be going too far this time.
There is a rule about standing... Oh, no, there isn't. Very well, carry on.
So he tries not to do anything. When Mac visits him, he's like, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm not gonna get in trouble again. Totally like a kid thing to do. Like, if your parents give you 2 rules or punish you too harshly, you like try to make a point. So everybody kind of questions him and sees how he's doing, and Bloo accidentally breaks Madame Foster's statue of her own face. So yeah, as if we thought Bloo was in trouble before, he is screwed now. And of course, Mac, Coco, Wilt, and Eduardo want to help him kind of cover this up because they're good friends.
I'm going. I'm packing up. I'm heading out. I'm making history.
Hold on there, Hobo Joe. Maybe we can do something. Fix it? How?
They make a new attempt to try to fix the statue, all while getting this past Mr. Harriman so they don't get in trouble and or even kicked out of the house. I feel like it's just hard because Mr. Harriman is bullying Miss Francis all the time. And I'm sorry I keep calling her Miss Francis or Frankie, because it's like, I keep thinking from the perspective of Mr. Harriman, and it's honestly very confusing to me. So they try to use toothpaste to put the bus back to normal, and surprise, surprise, it doesn't work? So Bloo makes an entirely new statue out of soap, and I don't know the plan on this one. So they take this soap statue all through the house and try to get it back to the bust in the parlor. But there's a bunch of imaginary friends, and it happens to be everybody with water, which is actually what would ruin the statue. The only possible thing. It's so funny. They even go so far as to ask Madame Foster herself.
Thanks for helping out, Madame F. You rock.
Oh, aren't you sweet? Now come on, lay it on me.
To just wear a bunch of powder and stand there just so they don't get in trouble. And I feel like they should be hiding this from her. Like, why are they worried about Mr. Harriman more than the actual woman the bust is based off of? And she just like stands there and even blows a raspberry at Mr. Harriman, which is kind of a power move on her part. I just love Miss Madame Foster. She like gets better and better the more we see her.
Bloo?
What?
Madame Foster?
What about her? All she's got to do is sit there very still, covered in flour for the rest of her life.
But obviously she can't stay there, so they need a real, legitimate solution. Later, Frankie accidentally busts them before Mr. Harriman, and everybody's like super guilty. They're scared that they're gonna die, pretty much. So they actually take Frankie and throw her in the closet. Oh, okay, yeah, this is where things go way too far. Things were wrapped up a little too much. So they end up getting an entirely new statue. In the end, when Mr. Harriman finds out, he doesn't even care that much. He just goes back into the office, gets another statue as if there's like 100 of them and it's not worth anything. And yeah, Bloo ends up knocking that one over too. Mr. Harriman gives Frankie a broom to clean it up, and I guess the moral of the story is that Frankie is the most underrepresented character here. Like, Bloo did all of this, ran all throughout the house, and he still has the nerve to pick Frank out of the crowd and just bully her. Like, I swear, this is not a working relationship. This is one of those things where it's like, they have to move on, because that's not nice, Mr. Harriman. The next episode is the one I grew up watching over and over again on reruns. I don't know why, I just remember this one the most vividly from when it came out. It's season 1, episode 7. Dinner is Swerved. So jumping off of all the Mr. Harriman rules, essentially running this entire house, this one is another one that's like, he's kind of the dictator in. So apparently everybody has to be seated and at the table before they can serve dinner.
Piggy! Off the table this instant!
And, you know, obviously this is a common tradition. They need to go by this. And Mac and Bloo are seeing the roof of Foster's. I guess that's what they wanted to do before dinner. Frankie is the only one that's like, why do we have to wait for every single person to start? And yet, here we are. Mac and Bloo, everything they're doing has to affect everybody else in the house. And I kind of like that plot. Once they see the roof, they get lost and don't even know how to get back down to the regular parlor, even the dining room. So they start going down different pathways, hallways. We really get to see how insane Foster's home really is.
I can't believe this. I simply cannot believe this.
You can't believe it? I can't believe it. Don't you, like, live here or something?
After a while, they even round up back to the roof again. After jumping through this vent system, they end up in the laundry room, which you think is like, okay, maybe they're gonna get back. But no, they just have to use the clothes to trace their steps because they are that lost. And there's just so many different staircases. Like, I don't know how they, like, mark their spots. Wilt, Coco, and Eduardo actually care enough to go looking for them, which is kind of funny. Obviously, they're still waiting downstairs to eat. Miss Frances is getting starved. Meanwhile, Madam Foster is actually taking the food under Mr. Harriman's neck and actually feeding people, and so they have to just pretend like they're not eating. It seems like this is like a normal occurrence that Mr. Harriman is that strung out for power. So they keep looking throughout the house, and they can't find Mac or Bloo. Eventually, Mac and Bloo find Duchess, which is surprising, because she was a huge villain, and now she's just like a one-off character. It's just kind of funny to think about.
Yeah, pizza pick out. I'd like to order 12 extra large pepperoni pizzas with extra sauce and extra cheese to Foster's home. Yeah, that's a place. Thanks.
Ha! Take that! Not so smart, are you? That's right. Who's got the brains, baby? Uh-huh. Tell me, genius, if you don't know how to get downstairs, how will you answer the door when your precious pizza's arrive?
And they end up back on the roof again. Oh my god. The adventure only gets harder as they put a mattress down outside the roof for Mac and Bloo to jump, which, by the way, scary as heck. I can't believe they're even considered doing this. And so they jump all the way down and basically are jumping back up to the top of the roof. So they have to start their adventure all over again. And they get woozy this time. They see an imaginary friend and start imagining it's a drumstick because they're so starved. And this guy is actually a drumstick, which is kind of funny. And he, like, tries to stand up for himself. We kind of get, like, a little side character here. Meanwhile, Mr. Harriman is still keeping people hostage at this table. And, oh my gosh, Mac and Bloo are going full on insane. Eventually, they finally get back down into the main lobby and finally get back for dinner. But everything has been eaten. Oh well, I guess they don't get their food, which is actually fair. It's karma because they're the ones who made a mistake. I don't know why they made the whole house pay for it to begin with. And yeah, the drumstick guy eventually gets away, which I guess that's like his freedom arc. So funny. And yeah, we learn a lot more about the layout of Foster's home. And honestly, this is when the show got super exciting for me because I just realized how intense the possibilities are of this place. Like, are there like 100 floors, 50 floors, like what? And I just remember being so curious. Like, this was one of the first episodes that aired, so of course I was like so into figuring out what went on. And of course Mr. Harriman just has to be like the main antagonist for most of this. Like, even Duchess is shown in this episode, but she's not that like negative. It's only Mr. Harriman. And poor Mac getting roped into all this. Like, he just wants to go home after school. Come on, guys, let him live. But yeah, that's Dinner is Swerved. This next one is really fun because it's actually about Mr. Harriman's demise, essentially. It's called Worldwide Wabbit. It's episode 8, and oh my gosh, I can't believe they include viral videos. Like, it's so early for the time. This is what, 2003, 2004? And you could tell it's that old because of the format, the way they look at the internet. Frankie's the only one who really knows how to use it, and Bloo and Mac are just amazed. It's so funny to think of how new it was at the time. Mr. Harriman is going too far once again, bothering Frankie over and over again. And this is actually going to help people get adopted, which is kind of a cool idea. Frankie is going to record interviews with a bunch of the friends, but she gets forced by Mr. Harriman to do something else, so they leave it up to Mac and Bloo. But we get a little reference to Mr. Harriman's lore here, so we gotta put that in.
I'll never understand why my sweet, lovable grandma imagined that stingy stick in the mud. Look, I gotta go do this frame thing. Will you get the interviews for me, Mac?
And we get a bunch of imaginary friends that we've never seen before, and honestly, they're kind of cool. Like, what the heck? These guys are awesome. Too bad they don't get, like, enough screen time. And of course, Bloo has to be the human version of a meme, honestly. Like, he just keeps messing up with all the background. They end up accidentally recording Mr. Harriman and Madam Foster, and Mr. Harriman is so embarrassing. He does this thing, he does like a dance routine for Madam Foster, and it's kind of sweet, but very embarrassing, and they get it on video.
Hippity, hippity, hoppity, hoppity. My tail's quite fluffy, my ears are quite floppity. I sing and I dance, and you can't make me stoppity.
Which is so funny. Obviously, they've got gold here, and when they show Frankie, she is obsessed, and she's like, this is finally my payback. And I don't know, it just gets really scary, because it feels like blackmail pretty quickly. And Frankie gets a little obsessed with power, having Mac be the one to actually calm her down a little bit. But yeah, it doesn't work. She just gets too obsessed with revenge, and once Mac walks out of the room, she shows Bloo that she actually has extra copies. So Frankie and Bloo working together is very interesting. I mean, they're both opposing Mr. Harriman, so that would make sense. But yeah, Mac realizes that everybody in the house somehow has access to this, and oh, of course, it's Bloo. Bloo is charging people to watch it, which is so funny.
The most amazingly hilarious spectacle of a lifetime.
Bloo, what are you doing?
What? Oh, nothing.
Eventually, Mr. Harriman comes in, and they are worried they're gonna just get in trouble. But Frankie hides it, and they get away with it. So that's kind of a good situation. And she can't stop laughing at Mr. Harriman because of the video. It almost like ruins his reputation for everybody, honestly.
I would say that braised chickadee would be more than quite befitted to the expanding waistlines of the residentity. That is all it is.
This is why it's such an issue. Later, they're all at dinner, and people cannot hold their breath. Like, it is so funny, and he is such a meme to them now, which is so crazy. Like, what a change of dynamic. Even Madam Foster is, like, super excited about that. I don't even know if she knows what's going on. Mac is the only advocate for doing the right thing, and the only way he gets Frankie to actually reconsider is to say how bad Mr. Harriman would probably be if he found out this was her. And, of course, she's like, oh no, this is bad. So she starts freaking out and trying to get rid of all the copies. Unfortunately, though, Bloo doesn't care, so he just continues with this whole ordeal anyway. Next thing you know, they got a lot of merch because of Mr. Harriman, and it turns out this has gone viral outside of the house, and just straightforward to the internet to everybody.
Hey, here's a new one. This is the best, though. The Funny Bunny Store. And I linked the whole site to the Fosters homepage.
So now Mac and Frankie basically have to find a way to get this off the internet, which, oh my god, it's so hard because of all the merch and everybody is obsessed with Funny Bunny. And it's just crazy, like, even Madam Foster just doesn't have any influence over this house at certain points. It's, like, crazy. So they try to hide all the merch so Mr. Harriman doesn't see, but you know what? It becomes way too late. And after they all act super suspicious, he definitely catches up on this fact. They play hot potato with one of the merch so Mr. Harriman doesn't see it, and eventually just is screwed when the camera crew shows up to Foster's. Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna hide it at this point.
Excuse me, can we get an interview, Mr. Funny Bunny?
Mustard and water!
It's basically a race to hide everything, and it doesn't work. Mr. Harriman sees it on TV, and he becomes furious, and it's so crazy to see everything go insane. Everybody's blaming one another, and yeah, Mr. Harriman is just so furious, throwing away everything, and you've never seen him this mad. He is just, like, walking in pure anger all throughout the house, and it's like, what is he gonna do? Oh, he brings out a camera and tries to catch Mac and Bloo embarrassed, but it doesn't work.
We'll see how you and your creator like being recorded at your most private moments. Go!
So yeah, next thing you know, he's just being interviewed by thousands of cameras and he does not know what to do. Of course, he's like the viral moment. It's very Britney of him. They even get the whole news crew to corner him and he is like having a panic attack. I don't know why, this would be my worst nightmare too. Until he realized that actually people adore him and they're gonna buy from Foster's a lot more, so it's actually a net positive for everybody, which I guess the moral of the story is that internet fame could be good? I don't know. So everybody begins hopping off, and it's just a positive ending for everybody, except for Frankie once again. Mr. Hairman gets all this power. He even releases another music video.
My name is Mr. Harriman, and I'm here to say, a hip hop, a hip hip hop. I rip and I rap and I just can't stop. I have great big feet and ears that flop. To help your mom, you can sweep them off.
And of course, Madam Foster loves this, and everybody else is just super uncomfortable as he gets into it. So yeah, it ends on a very positive note, I would say. Okay, for the next episode, we have Very Scary, and this one was a really fun one when I was growing up. It's essentially somebody having a crush on Bloo, and how that pans out. Spoiler alert, not super positive. It starts with everybody in the house watching The Love and the Loveless, like even Mr. Harriman's watching it, and Bloo's whole thing this episode is just trying to play with this paddle ball and beat a record. And honestly, it's kind of funny, like, look at this.
One.
And it's like not even just that, like they have so many funny jokes referencing this.
One.
The doorbell rings and a new friend is coming to Foster's, a friend that's pink, and this little innocent girl that keeps saying, I don't want to be a burden, which is actually really funny. And Frankie lets her in, but she immediately has a crush on Bloo. So Barry has a crush on Bloo and is not afraid to let anybody know it, especially Frankie. Frankie ends up telling everybody to go watch The Love and the Loveless in order to, like, get her some space. So she actually is able to hit on Bloo. And she doesn't just straightforward hit on him, like, she just assumes she's his girlfriend at a certain point.
How sweet of you to notice.
I'm gonna get some more cake.
She makes him cookies. It's like a full-on relationship. Oh my god, and she makes him a scrapbook. It's like she goes super overboard right off the bat. Suddenly Mac shows up and we have a new problem. Barry finds out that Mac and Bloo are so close and it makes her really jealous. Actually to a point where she quivers and has a lot of really disturbing animations. Like, honestly, it's kind of crazy.
Enough chit-chat. We've got a world record to break. Together.
So meanwhile, Bloo and Mac are trying to beat a world record. It's the ping pong one goes first, and Barry ends up breaking the entire paddle just to mess with Mac. And honestly, she looks like she's trying to physically hurt him a lot of times. She's like so jealous and keeps getting more and more disturbed. Honestly, it's kind of funny if I wasn't worried about Mac's well-being. Eventually, she just tells him straightforward, like, stay away from my boyfriend, and it gets really weird.
You're Blue's best friend. I know Blue's feelings for me could only ever be a fraction of what they are for you. I mean, some might say you're really cutting into my time with Blue, just as I'm carving out a nice little niche for myself, but not for me. I'd never say that. Crispy Rice Square?
So she ends up confronting Bloo and saying that Mac is the only thing getting in the way of them breaking a world record. And oh my gosh, what a manipulative thing to do. So Bloo actually turns on Mac and confronts him and decides to do this all without him. So now he's working with Barry. Oh my god, they see Terrence watching The Love and the Loveless. That part is the most random out of all of these. Then Mac realizes that Barry is out to get him and I guess decides to go back to Foster's. Meanwhile, Bloo has completely changed. He's like a boyfriend now, has a sweater vest. And Barry ends up making the huge rubber band ball that the two promised to do together. And it's kinda sweet, I think? Yeah, right as they're about to put on the final rubber band and break the world record, Mac swipes in and cuts the rubber band, actually making this girl fall, which I didn't realize this was like a death match.
You may be selfish, you may be self-centered, you may have even sold me out for a giant ball of rubber band glory, but you'll always be my best friend.
Later, he has a speech apologizing to Bloo, and she gets screwed. Attached to the rubber band ball, they finally break the world record, and she just gets crushed by the rubber band ball. It kind of ends on a very dark note, with her riding off into the distance, but hey, I guess she's a bad person, so it's okay? Yeah, the episode ends with a newscast saying where she ended up, and yeah, that's kind of it. Bloo doesn't care, and that's just where the episode ends. So Mac did all the work this time. I just feel like Barry is the highlight of this episode. Like, having her switch moods at, like, the flick of a dime is just so funny. And sure, she's, like, a very manipulative character, but does that mean she can't come back on the show? Like, she's not really in an episode beside this one, so it's kind of sad to think about. I feel like she played such a vital role in this, because nobody's ever liked Bloo before, or at least on a romantic level. And just seeing him transform for her, like, that's such a classic, like, adult sitcom type trope, and having it been done in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is all the more funny. All around, Barry is a 9 out of 10 hilarious character, and I understand why she didn't come back, but still, come on guys, this was such a good episode. Not sure if you know this, but animation works differently than normal episode production numbers. Like, for example, SpongeBob has 2 stories back-to-back that make up 20 minutes, and they're called segments, so 2 segments for 1 episode. Foster's Home works a little differently. It's usually 1 episode for the full 22 minutes. And that's, like, very common and normal, except for sometimes these shows will break that rule randomly. Yeah, so this 1 episode in Season 1 actually splits into 2 small segments. The first one being about Terrence and him getting an imaginary friend. In a way, Seeing Red is a Terrence-related episode and is demoted to 10 minutes, and it's kind of funny because it seems like it's from his perspective, as if it's like an art house film, but, you know, clearly he's the bully, threatening his brother, following him to Foster's, so it's no surprise that Bloo ends up defending Mac and beating him up completely.
You get out of there, you! Oh, relax. Now, this only hurt for a second.
Why, you...
Sorry, let's try that again.
That's when he realizes that Mac is unstoppable with Bloo, so he's going to have to do something to come in between him. In fact, he gets so angry that out of nowhere, he imagines up his own imaginary friend.
An imaginary friend! Now, must concentrate. Concentrate.
And he's so bad at, like, having an imagination, he almost, like, freaks out during it. It, like, hurts him. And then he creates this guy that's named Red, and Red is a giant square that is red, and his sole mission is to hurt Bloo. Terrence keeps trying to give him advice to do so, but he turns out to be too fun-loving, like, very sweet and caring, so every time Terrence makes an attempt for him to assault Bloo...
Only hurt for a second.
Red, let me give you the grand tour.
No, I want to beat him up. I want to be the one to give him the tour.
When Red actually tries to hurt Bloo, he starts getting hurt by accident. And or Bloo starts getting closer to him and he finds himself. But Bloo realizes this is Terrence's doing and keeps putting him in scenarios that really harm him, which kind of makes you feel bad. Like even dropping him into a giant fish tank. Oh my gosh.
Eat a little fishy food. Big fishy. Feed a little fishy food.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a revenge episode, starting out at Terrence's point of view, just becoming Bloo's relationship with this giant red guy. When Terrence finally breaks in because this red guy's not enough, the red guy gets really sad and feels bad because he actually cares about Bloo and Mac. Aww, so he's told off by Terrence and he defends himself. So for the first time, this guy has a big argument.
Red not like Terrence words. Red not mean like Terrence. Red not bad like Terrence.
And in the end, Terrence runs away and the red guy sees the light and is just a nice friend from now on. Yeah, that kind of felt more like a short than a full episode. Definitely made sense that it was broken up this way. Not much to say on this episode since it was a lot shorter and it was more so commenting on like a parent-child relationship, like expectations that like an adult might have for you versus what you might have for yourself, especially like when you're developing and decide to make your own choices. Like Terrence was clearly taking advantage of this guy that he created. But let's move on to what the next segment is. This one's actually really insane. It's called Phone Home, and basically it starts out being about Wilt saving imaginary friends. It's really sweet. He goes all throughout the town and saves imaginary friends in danger, like this one Bone that's running away from a bunch of dogs. As you can imagine, that's a very comparable position in which this guy is the victim. And yeah, Bloo is not that supportive of Wilt. You know, he's getting a lot of praise for all the work he does. He's so charitable. And honestly, like, I feel like Bloo is just insane insecure, like he's getting his masculinity taken from him.
And bring in as many of those needy and abandoned friends as we possibly can.
A contest.
No.
So, what's in it for you there, Wilt, old buddy? A new car? A trip to some faraway and exotic land? Cash monies?
No, nothing like that.
So he decides to make this a competition, in which Wilt doesn't even want to do, but Bloo insists on it. Whoever brings home the most imaginary friends. And it doesn't even look like Wilt takes this seriously. Bloo just heads out and tries to find one. He thinks a fire hydrant is one, and already you know that this is going to be flawed.
Go ahead, stand there all day. See if I care. But when those dogs over there who've been eyeballing you decide to make their way over here, don't come running to me.
He ends up finding this guy dressed up as a cell phone willing to promote cell phones, and it's so funny because obviously it's a guy dressed as a cell phone, and this is not an imaginary friend, clearly. But Bloo thinks he is, and he's just stuck in the costume. So Bloo takes him for his, like, charity case and forcibly drags him back to Foster's, in which he expects a lot of praise and hype, but everybody's like, what the heck?
Freedom and weep, boys. Take a look at the new friend of the month, me.
And this poor cell phone guy is just trying to get home to his loving family, while Bloo, like, is jumping on top of him as if he's an actual cell phone.
Sex!
Next thing you know, it becomes like this escape for the cell phone, trying to get out of this new place. And yeah, Mr. Harriman, Wilt, and Frankie come back only to tell him that, hey, this is not an imaginary friend. He runs off into the distance, and finally Bloo's capturing days are over. Oh my gosh. So he didn't even find a good friend. And Max somehow won the competition just by bringing home a little fuzzy green guy. I think Bloo learned his lesson this time, because that's honestly fair.
Now, let's go see your new car!
All right, Max!
This one is just so funny. I can't believe the concept of mistaking a human for an imaginary friend. I feel like this is the bread and butter of the show, like just pointing out the really funny, small intricacies that might come with having an imaginary friend foster home. Like, I don't know, it's just really good. Episode number 8 is called Who Let the Dogs In, and this one's actually pretty cute. For a change, we learn the difference between a pet and imaginary friend, because a really cute puppy dog comes, and Eduardo desperately wants it, and to take care of it. It's kind of like that story of, like, seeing an old lost dog and taking it home to your parents and being like, aww, but Eduardo is the one obsessed with it. We learn that Mr. Harriman is deathly afraid of dogs, mainly because he is a rabbit, and of course, they don't like rabbits. Eduardo cares so much about the safety of the dog, he decides to sneak it into Foster's home, put it in with his little toy chest, and keep him anyway. Oh my gosh. So it's an Eduardo episode. That's kind of fun.
Buenas noches, perrito.
He goes missing the next day, so there's a dog loose at Foster's, and Mr. Harriman is immediately on the alert. He doesn't know that the dog's there, but he feels like there is a dog. So now Eduardo has to somehow keep this lost dog away from Mr. Harriman, with using excuses of the other friends. Honestly, there's some really funny bits there.
Oh, so that automatically makes it me, just because I've got tongues for feet.
But Mr. Harriman is still suspicious, even though every time a dog issue comes up, one of the imaginary friends pretends it was them, which gets a lot harder as time goes on.
See, I love licking feet, see? Feet, I love the footy goodness.
Frankie tries to, like, calm Mr. Harriman, saying there is no dog in the house, which is so funny because clearly there is. It's almost like, how long is it gonna take for Eduardo to be caught? There's literal paw prints all throughout the house, so I would be terrified if I was Mr. Harriman. And a broken rabbit's head on his desk floor, which is insane, and everybody's freaking out. Eduardo finally finds the puppy and learns that he actually had a whole multitude of more puppies. Oh my God. So there's a bunch of puppies all throughout the bedroom, and this is clearly breaking the rules. I don't know how they get away with this, honestly. In these episodes, Bloo tends to go off and do his own thing, and it's just a recurring comedy bit that he's trying to do it above everything that's going on in the episode, and honestly, it's selfish but funny, very in character for him. And in this episode, he's trying to make this time machine with, like, I don't know, he's just making stuff up at this point. Mr. Harriman calls for an emergency meeting to actually address all the Foster's friends, and he tells them that there is definitely a dog in the house. Now with Wilt, Coco, Mac, and Bloo on his side, they all have to essentially make up for this little dog's mistake. Did I say Bloo by accident? No, actually Bloo turns against all of them because they're not paying attention to his time machine thing, whatever he's trying to build. So he actually takes the puppies from the box and tries to release them on his own. Essentially sabotaging this whole operation. So yeah, right as Mr. Harriman's making a speech about this whole thing, yeah, an actual dog is let loose.
Someone has attempted to commit a most heinous and contemptuous act. An attempt has been made on my life!
What? What on earth are you—
Silence!
It's a pretty funny presentation. For most of it, the dogs are actually out running amok already, and all the friends are just covering up for the mistakes, which is just honestly just hilarious. Okay, so oh my god, I don't know how you cover this much up. But then, yeah, at the end, they get out of the box, exposing to Mr. Harriman, and eating him. Or not actually eating it, they just lick him sweetly. The next thing you know, the dog is getting ready to get shipped out of Foster's home until the animal guy realizes that he's an imaginary friend. And they're all imaginary friends. They're not even actual dogs. So they could stay at the house. Therefore, the animal abuse is okay. Aww. No, I'm just kidding. No, but they do have superpowers, and that's kind of random to me. They know how to talk. Random episode. But it is fun to see the animals and the Foster's imaginary friends, how they get along. Because, like, honestly, I was wondering.
I always loved you best, Bloo.
I always loved you best too!
Honestly, I kind of feel bad for Mr. Harriman. This is the scenario that he was the most vulnerable, and I feel like nobody was that helpful. Now, one of the last episodes is called Adoptcalypse Now, a parody of the famous movie Apocalypse Now, and this one is fun because it's like a whole convention day for Foster's home to get, you know, friends adopted. It starts the episode off with Mac and Bloo laughing at this clown imaginary friends jokes, and it's just so funny. It actually like sets up later for Mac just trying to fit in without jokes, which is heavily relatable. Yeah, so they have this whole day, and Bloo is told to stay inside the house so he doesn't get adopted or in the way of people getting adopted. Makes a lot of sense. Oh my gosh, it's scary though to think of Wilt, Eduardo, or Coco leaving. Honestly, it's season 1. I know it's not going to happen, but it's still kind of scary to think about. Yeah, Mac doesn't know how to fit in with everybody because he doesn't have the right jokes. Relatable. So he just goes around looking for the clown.
A pecan pie? My brother? Get it? Well, you just should hear the way Jokey tells it.
But then the clown gets adopted. Oh well. And of course this episode is exactly what I started out with feeling. It's Mac and Bloo trying not to let any of their friends get adopted because clearly they care so much about them, they want to keep them in the house. So that's kind of a selfish move, but it comes from an emotionally understood place. Like, I feel like it's kind of sentimental to see it happen.
Oh, Jokey's gone and he's not coming
back. Of course he's not coming back. It's Adopt-a-Thought Saturday, the day they come to take all our good buddies away. Now Jokey's off being all jokey with who knows who.
So through a series of tricks and full-on manipulation, these friends get lured back into the house, all led by Bloo, of course. And then, yeah, it just gets a little bit more diabolical than you expect. With Eduardo actually getting along with one of the little girls. Oh, it's so sad. But then he's scared, so he scares the girl. Okay, this is actually a lot more negative than I thought it would be. Wilt finds out all of this is going on, and yeah, they just put on the guilt trip.
You know, I'm sorry, Bloo, but it's Adopt-a-Thought Saturday, and well, a lot of our friends may finally have a chance to find new homes to call their own.
I know. That's the problem. This hurts us more than it hurts you.
Yeah, sorry, Wilt.
Eventually, they try an even further trick where Bloo goes out to distract all the kids and just lures them away, which is even more disrespectful, honestly. I feel like they're gonna have to have a good talking to after this episode. So by the end of the episode, there's no, like, real moral. It's just getting Mac and Bloo tied up, put in a closet, and they're not allowed to go near adoption day, which is kind of insane when you think about it, and really sad. like, let all your friends go, like, leave them alone. I don't understand who's winning in this scenario. All around, a really fun episode that, like, identifies the problems with Foster for specifically Bloo and Mac, who are kind of taking advantage of the system when you think about it. Like, they should just be grateful Blue's able to have a place for free. It reminds me of when I tried to adopt my cats. There was like a huge form of papers and like going to the shelter. It definitely gives me that vibe, but the fact that these guys can talk and speak like the imaginary friends makes it seem a little bit more scary. Like they desperately want the attention of these kids, and okay, I feel like that makes sense. Like they want to be rehoused. But yeah, all around, it's kind of a selfish episode when you think about it. Both Bloo and Mac's story arcs, and I wish this was like the season finale, because this is a good way to go. Like, this is a very intense, pressurous situation, but we still have one more episode to go to end on all 13 for the show. So we know Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends as being this very fun-loving, wholesome TV show about friends meeting each other, connections, and a whole house full of fun. But did you know that within the first season, they actually had a full-on horror episode? Yeah, like a freaky, dark season finale for its first production. I'd completely forgotten about this episode until I did this retrospective on the first season that actually shed light on why they have this really disturbing episode put out. It's season 1, episode 13, Bloo. And it does this common trope that most TV shows do, where it's like the characters watch a horror movie and everything in it comes to life. But this has a really disturbing twist. It takes place in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. An already established, staggeringly deep house with an endless amount of floors. Mind you, within the first 5 episodes of this show, Mac and Bloo get lost, and they can't even get down into the lobby within the episode. Like, it's crazy how much depth there is to this house. There's different doors, different locations that, like, make this place a full-on nightmare. So the animators did not hold back when actually expanding this episode to give it more of a horror vibe. I gotta say, I love it when TV shows do this trope. You know, like the hash-slinging slasher episode of SpongeBob. That was always a classic. Even my favorite show, Shaolin Showdown, has an episode or two that just takes a turn to the horror direction. I don't know what about it is that kids just love being scared and or like horror-related things. You know, like take the entire series of Five Nights at Freddy's for an example. Yeah, see? Exactly. Now let's explore how dark this really gets. Unlike any episode thus far, Foster's Home takes place in the midst of a dark and really freaky storm. Like, not just a normal storm, like, I'm talking about, like, full-on Goosebumps storm. Bloo and Mac essentially get sick by playing in this storm in the mud, interrupting this whole movie night they were supposed to have.
Gesundheit!
Thank you.
Gesundheit!
Thank you.
So Frankie ends up taking Mac home because he's clearly sick, and so is Bloo. Frankie drives off into the night in the Foster's bus, which could only need 2 good things. Meanwhile, Bloo is still suffering, having the same issues that Mac had. He's, like, sniffly, and it's perfect timing because Wilt, Eduardo, and Coco are watching this horror movie called The Curse of the Cannibal Ghost of the Haunted House on Horror Hill. And tell me this doesn't look like Foster's Home. Like, it is already a horror show, and the audience feels it because in the movie, it rings even creepier than what we see.
Now hurry on inside and get yourself to bed, okay?
Frankie drops off Mac and has this whole scary B-plot of her being stalked by somebody. Yes, like, she's driving through the night, the windshield keeps getting foggier and foggier, and honestly, as a viewer, I'm pretty terrified. She essentially drives past this man in a trench coat and swerves to a point where she's pretty convinced she killed somebody, and I am too. It cuts away from that to go to Bloo actually not being able to watch the movie and going to bed. They have a horrible staircase that I can't believe this is even in Foster's. The room is lit with dark purple and light blue hues, and I'm so disturbed at how committed the animators were to make this scary. Like, I can feel my 10-year-old self quivering. Meanwhile, Frankie is still trying to figure out what's going on and who she hit, and it's not comfortable because we see at the same time this horror movie playing, and it gets really freaky vibes. For the rest of the episode, Coco, Eduardo, and Wilt are pretty convinced that Bloo might be a ghost, mainly because he's pale and sickly now going from blue to just being full-on white, and it's really disturbing. He starts groaning and walking throughout the house, even sneezing, and yeah, he rubs his boogers along the wall, and it's really gross. I don't remember if this is like timed out to be a Halloween episode, but it for sure is not a normal one. Bloo even looks in the mirror and has a conversation with himself.
Whoa, I feel dizzy. You gotta get oxygenated. Deep breath, deep breath. Not through your mouth breather, through your nose.
Which is downright trippy. I'm being freaked out just watching this. Of course, the show has its comedic moments, as it always does, and I always love that about this show. Frankie is unable to get into Foster's, which is kind of crazy to me that there's thousands of people living in this house, but nobody could let her in. Okay, sure, fine. But she's scared she's being stalked, so clearly this is a very prominent moment. Meanwhile, Wilt and Eduardo can't even find Bloo, just the snot he left behind. And once he comes out of the mist, he is terrifying. Like, Bloo looks like the stereotype of a ghost you expect. A sheet actually does fall on his head, kind of making it even cheesier and adding to the comedy beat. But yeah, it's just about them mistaking Bloo for this ghost and essentially starting this chase to either get away from Bloo or find him. Mr. Harriman ends up coming out, not believing anything that's going on. Everybody starts hearing rackety noises outside, and sure, we know that this is Frankie, but this is just another hint of the horror vibe they're trying to create in this episode. Gosh, if this wasn't just this giant mansion, this wouldn't even be that scary. It's the whole aesthetic that they're in this giant house that actually makes it haunting. So they decide to finally try to take down Bloo as a ghost, and I don't know why they're not realizing this. The eeriness of the shadows and how Foster's look in this episode is just so disorienting to me. I cannot get over it. Even Bloo doesn't know what to do and feels like he's being attacked, which he is. I don't know how to explain it otherwise.
Run, Bloo, run.
Meanwhile, Frankie actually tries to climb the Foster's home to get in, and that doesn't work either, just causing more disruption throughout the house. And honestly, I'm really scared for her because she could actually be dealing with a stalker. She runs off and trips into the mud, which, if you've seen horror movies, doesn't usually lead to positive things happening. Bloo ends up sneezing over all his friends, and it looks even worse on his part. They try to suck him up, but it just doesn't work. It actually pushes him in the opposite direction, and he looks more and more threatening. I don't know why he's actually worried about being taken by this vacuum when really he's not a ghost, so what does it matter?
We have you now!
Just when they think they captured him, the entire vacuum explodes and everybody is covered in dust, with eventually the Foster's bus breaking into the lobby of the house. And oh my god, this is when it gets way too far, because we know Frankie's not driving. So this giant man in the trench coat that I assume we passed earlier comes staggering in, and honestly, I'm really terrified. No more Bloo mishaps.
I've been trying to get my hands on you all day!
It turns out out to just be an imaginary friend, and one of the goofiest of all at that. Like, it's so weird. Yeah, this friend even gets scared of Bloo, thinking he's a real ghost, and the episode abruptly ends with a nice little sneeze from Bloo. Nobody gets resolved, nothing is actually talked about and figured out, which is kind of trippy to me. It actually makes the experience a little more horrifying, but it's still cool that they committed so hard to doing this horror-related episode, given everything in the first season being so family-friendly and uppity and exciting. Like, it's so interesting to see all of the aesthetics take a wild turn into the horror direction, and having it be around this scary mansion is, I don't know, it just gets worse for me. Like, as somebody who's scared of scary movies, this one really takes the cake. And with all that said, this is the final episode of the first season of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Can you imagine if it got canceled after all this? Like, it would almost seem like this episode itself is responsible for it, because this would have been the last one that came out. Obviously, they had 5 more seasons, so it doesn't really matter in retrospect. But the thrill of this whole episode has got me on my toes, guys. So yeah, I guess that's Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to support Johnny Toons, as well as my main channel. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for diving into the 2000s for me. And until next time, have a great day.